Resident Evil trailer, who is in the water chamber? The trailer for Netflix's upcoming Resident Evil show ends with a mysterious character trapped inside a water chamber of some kind, but who is it? A large chamber filled with water is seen near the end of the trailer for Netflix's Resident Evil show, but who resides in it? The upcoming series adds to a fast-growing list of movie and TV adaptations of the Resident Evil franchise, which has dominated the horror video game landscape since the mid-1990s. Oddly enough though, it continues another trend followed by most of the adaptations in that it is set up to tell a mostly original story instead of directly adapting the plots and characters from the games. The actual intricacies of the plot for Netflix's Resident Evil are still being kept close to the chest, but details so far are that the story takes place in two time periods, the present day of 2022 and 16 years later in 2036. This places it long past the Raccoon City outbreak that the early Resident Evil games and 2021's Welcome to Raccoon City movie revolved around, but according to showrunner Andrew Dabb, all existing game lore up through Resident Evil Village is being treated as canon to the series. That does beg the question as to why Albert Wesker, who died during the events of Resident Evil 5, is now back and leading the Netflix show. His resurrection will presumably be explained, but another question to be answered comes from the trailer for Netflix's Resident Evil. One of the last images shown is of a rather angry person locked inside some kind of water tank. The character doesn't bear a spot-on resemblance to anyone from the games, but does look similar enough to notoriously hard Resident Evil for boss Verdugo to raise eyebrows, especially the bald head and clawed appendages. The water tank character also looks somewhat like a tyrant, one of Umbrella Corporation's signature T-virus monsters. Of course, there's also a chance it's someone entirely new. Whatever or whoever is in that water chamber, it seems almost certain that it is not anything good. If it is a tyrant, it is likely Umbrella is keeping this beast in reserve for a coming attack. Since the trailer makes clear that Wesker and Umbrella have learned nothing and have again exposed humanity to a T-virus outbreak, it is likely only a matter of time until the company sends out its monster brigade again. There is also the possibility that the person inside the water tank is an Umbrella test subject, and more likely than not an unwilling one. Perhaps whatever this subject will evolve into is not clear yet, and their full appearance will only be revealed after Resident Evil's Netflix debut. It is also possible that this person is not part of a T-virus test and may have been exposed to even deadlier contagions like the G-virus. When it comes to Umbrella, anything is possible, and no matter the result, it will likely be terrifying. Resident Evil show timeline explained, how long after the games? Resident Evil's story follows the Wesker family across two different timelines, 2022 and 2036, but how will that fit the video game franchise? Netflix's upcoming Resident Evil will release in July 2022, but the in-universe timeline is unclear as it is set to continue the rich story of the Resident Evil video game series. In recent years there has been an abundance of Resident Evil material, including Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City, with some big differences from the games, Resident Evil, Infinite Darkness and the latest game in the series, Resident Evil Village, which all dropped in 2021 to mark the series' 25th birthday. 2022 sees the popular franchise surface once again with Netflix's Resident Evil, the franchise's first live-action TV series, which has Supernatural's Andrew Dabb acting as showrunner. The new series follows Albert Wesker, Lance Reddick, as he moves to New Raccoon City to start working once again with Umbrella, which seems to have been reformed, and he seems to be building a new, deadlier virus. This version of Albert Wesker is not the same as the one that appeared in either of the previous film adaptations. As the new series follows the events of the games, Albert Wesker has been canonically dead since 2009, though there are several theories as to how Wesker is alive, and it has been confirmed by showrunner Andrew Dabb that Resident Evil will answer the questions revolving around him. Resident Evil will follow two distinct timelines, one in 2022 where the Wesker family move into New Raccoon City and Albert Wesker works on his latest virus. The second timeline is in 2036, where the world as it was has ended and only 15 million humans are left alive on Earth with over 6 billion undead animals and humans trying to eat them. With Albert Wesker's past as a tinkerer of terror, it seems very likely that he is responsible for the post-apocalyptic future. His experiments in 2022 seem to link directly with this. The outbreak's origin is teased in Resident Evil's trailer. The 14-year gap between the two timelines indicates that the virus took a while to fully destroy the world, and while it won't be explored this season, future Resident Evil seasons might venture further into the gradual downfall of humanity, with the future timeline being more about survival or potentially obtaining a cure and the first timeline acting as a precursor. The latest game in the Resident Evil franchise was released in May 2021 and was set in the February of that year, meaning there is around a 1-year gap between the first timeline in the Netflix's Resident Evil TV series and the latest video game's timeline. This opens up many possibilities regarding crossovers with Resident Evil Village's cast members, including Chris Redfield, a character whose design keeps changing. However, towards the end of Resident Evil Village there is a time jump which shows Rosemary, a character born in 2020, as at least a teenager. This would mean the ending if Resident Evil Village is set close to, if not past, 2036, which is the year of Netflix's Resident Evil TV series post-apocalyptic timeline, despite no such thing being mentioned in that game. However, thanks to Rosemary's unique abilities stemming from the E-virus, she could be rapidly aging just as Evelyn did in Resident Evil 7. Netflix's Resident Evil timeline in 2022 takes place largely in New Raccoon City, where Wesker is developing his latest world-ending virus, as the original Raccoon City was destroyed during the events of Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 in 1998, 24 years earlier. While Resident Evil's video game connections does add significance to the world of the games and 25 years worth of extensive lore to the new series, it does also put Netflix in a corner regarding the overarching world of Resident Evil. For example, if Resident Evil 9 follows the series trend and is set in the year it is released, it should surpass 2022, meaning the events surrounding Wesker. Netflix's Resident Evil TV series must somehow affect the story of the upcoming sequel, or potentially Resident Evil 8's upcoming DLC. With Resident Evil Village's ending also contradicting the upcoming story, there is a chance that the new show is connected to the games in a looser way than expected, though all should be revealed when Resident Evil releases on Netflix in July 2022.